Good morning, everyone. Thanks again for taking the time to join our Cloud Calling and Contact Center event. My name is Sean Wilson. I'm the Vice President of Client Solutions with responsibilities over our data center, network, security, and collaboration practices. Tark, if you could go to the next slide. Thanks so much. So from an agenda perspective, we're going to talk about the collaboration trends and challenges in the industry today, right, across everything collaboration from voice to video to conferencing and messaging. And then we're going to spend some time talking about the benefits of cloud collaboration, which is really what we're here to talk about today. At that time, I'm going to hand off to Tarek Sheikh, our Director of Collaboration Solutions, to take you through Ucm Cloud, which is Cisco's next generation communications manager platform hosted in their private data centers. And in turn, we'll be handed off to Dan Farrell, our collaboration architect here at SMP, and then hand it back to Tarek to take you through Webex Contact Center, their next generation contact center platform. And then I will take you through the closing. So Tarek, if you go to the next slide, please. Thanks so much. So let's talk about some collaboration trends, if you will. All right. So for the last 4 to 5 years, the concept of work stream collaboration has really taken off. Platforms like Webex Teams, which have messaging, voice, video, conferencing, whiteboarding, file collaboration, all those components bundled into one. Comparable products are Microsoft Teams, Slack, Google's bringing a product to market. This is a very hot trend in the collaboration industry today, and every single one of those platforms I just mentioned is cloud driven. Cloud calling is also a very hot trend. Why in today's era, with the pandemic here as well, forcing organizations to work remotely, regardless of what they're doing with their return to work policy, getting agility and the flexibility needed that the cloud calling platforms provide. Cloud calling has been around for a while. It continues to mature, and more enterprise grade features that organizations are looking for are becoming available there. Cloud Contact Center. So Cloud Contact Center just makes a ton of sense. Contact Center, every environment is very unique. There's a lot of big players in the industry. Cisco is the leading cloud contact center and premise-based contact center platform when it comes to familiarity between the platforms. All right, and we're going to focus some time on there later this afternoon when Tarek takes you through Webex Contact Center. Video is becoming more and more pervasive. It's been pervasive from my perspective since about 2015-16. We really started to take off in the everyday conference room down to the huddle space. But again, COVID-19 and the pandemic has made it so all organizations and folks who were unfamiliar with video conferencing tools and endpoints are now enabled on them. So it's much easier to have rich conversations virtually than ever before. And then interoperability. So interoperability has always been key for collaboration. Cisco's approach specifically has been, how do we connect anything? Right? The power of interop at the end of the day and leveraging open standards and open APIs allows you to connect your applications to other platforms, giving you that end-to-end workflow that you're looking for, right? And that goes across all the lines of businesses and other organizations. They all have their own workflows. So making sure that interoperability is there is vital. So let's take you through some collaboration challenges today, right? And really what you'll see is this will dovetail nicely into where collaboration in the cloud is supporting all of this. Okay, so cost and complexity, right? A lot of complexity in legacy calling platforms, specialized skill sets, right? 70% of IT buyers expect to reduce IT support efforts when moving to cloud calling, and that's very true, right? We know this based on experience now, right? Let the vendors manage the infrastructure and software at the end of the day, and you guys just take advantage of the features. Another challenge with calling today is disconnected calling experiences, right? They look at 78% of IT leaders look at UC as a core part of their digital transformation. If you don't have an end-to-end experience that users can adopt and embrace, and it's a disconnected experience, it creates a lot of problems, right? You can never get to that end-to-end workflow. And then 79% of buyers want better service for mobile and remote workers. Well, that's exactly what the cloud provides us, right? Over-the-top solutions from the home, from the office, from the cafe, right? just going to the cloud, all meeting in one place, and collaboration specifically, voice and video, has always been very, very network dependent, right? Well, all of that has changed now. Codecs have been introduced and created to take better advantage of the internet and lossy networks to bring the user experience to a completely different level. So the benefits of integrated services for calling, team collaboration, and customer care offer better productivity, reduced cost and complexity, and better customer interactions. Next slide, Tark. So some additional challenges and what customers expect when moving to the cloud, right? They don't expect any disruptions. Tark and Dan will take you through how these platforms today on Cisco's side will make it not only so you can move out there seamlessly, but how they're managed and supported. Security is huge, right? We understand that security is huge. Okay. Cisco is a security company, the world's largest security company when it comes to end-to-end ecosystem, from endpoints to cloud security. They have big security across this entire thing. And then you have another organization, which I know scares folks, managing that for you, but keeping you compliant so that you don't fall behind. Customization. Folks expect to be able to customize their solutions to meet their needs, to become more agile and flexible whenever possible. Cisco has thought about that and baked that into their portfolio. And then extended return on investment. There is ROI in moving to collaboration solutions in the cloud. SMP's experts at showing you what that ROI is and how long it will take to get you there. Next slide. So now let's just talk about some benefits before handing off to Tarek. So there are a few things in here. We always throw up the safe harbor statement that may not be out yet. All right. And I know that that will apply. Dan and Tarek will weave that into their talk track as well. So we have to put the safe harbor statement in here. Really just stating that there's forward-looking statements involved. So benefits of cloud collaboration. First and foremost, you'll probably hear it several times today. Webex is a brand. When you hear Webex, it's going to take a long time. It's no different than Kleenex, all right, or Xerox. Webex is a brand now. Cisco has wrapped Webex across the entire portfolio. For those folks who live and die, Cisco Unified Communications, right, they will continue to use the names that they've used forever. Call Manager, Communications Manager, Unity Connection. Just know that the Webex is an umbrella term across premise-based and cloud collaboration portfolio and products. This right here, the whole purpose of this, and one of the benefits of the cloud is the single app. And Dan and Tarek will talk about the single app. You're able to bring all of these different utilities and technologies together under one pane of glass. All right. So the unified app specifically works across the mobile device, IP phone, desktop, purpose-built endpoints that Cisco makes, like the Webex Desk Pro and the Webex board, all tying into one ecosystem. And the greatest thing about the unified app and workstream collaboration is the meeting truly never ends. It does not end. When you start a meeting, it continues. All your data's there. It's stored. Your whiteboards are there. You can revisit it at a later time. All access through the unified app. And one big piece of the unified app is you don't lose your soft phone capabilities. All right? Attaching PSTN connectivity to other solutions can be challenging. If you already have Cisco UC today, this works natively with being able to call SMP or Joe's Pizza Shop. It ends up being a big piece, all within one application. So for folks who are familiar with Jabber, all right, or Webex Teams, the unified app is the evolution of all of that. For folks who are premise-based, Jabber Prem is not being sunsetted right now, but know that the unified app has feature parity and then some with that product, and it's the natural evolution for where you need to go. Another great thing about the unified app, because we know that organizations want freedom of choice, we know that every organization is not all in with one vendor, it's modular, all right? And the beauty of having to be modular is if you just want to leverage it from a soft phone perspective because you have Communications Manager, or you want to go with Webex Calling for telephony, you can do that. If you want to leverage it for soft phone and joining Webex meetings, you can do that, right? If you want it for meetings only, you can certainly do that. And if you want the full-blown stack, which includes messaging, file collaboration, M365 integration, whiteboarding, all those other things that you would expect to get out of a full-blown collaboration app, team management and the likes, you can take advantage of it in that way as well. Next slide, Tarek. Okay, So you can see the reason why we kept the slide in here is it takes us up through June 2020. We have done this webinar multiple times going back to the beginning of April. All right. You can actually see the unified apps journey here. And what's really, really powerful, probably since you may or may have not attended, look at simply what they've added since April 2020. All right. From a modular perspective and consolidation of app, you got all of Webex meetings feature parity rolled into the unified app or Webex Teams. You got advanced calling capabilities. You got the ability to register Webex Teams to Communications Manager with more calling capabilities that you had before. All right. And then additionally, in June, all right, you could actually configure it with capabilities for different end users based on what they wanted. Okay, so this is that whole agility and flexibility piece. Okay, so natural evolution there, with way more on the roadmap that Tarek and Dan will likely get into. So with that, Tarek, I'm going to hand it off to you to take them through Ucm Cloud.
Thank you, Sean. And thank you everyone for joining today's Cloud Calling and Contact Center webinar. My name is Tarek Sheikh. I'm the Director of Collaboration Solutions at SMP. Today, I'm going to be talking about Ucm Cloud. So basically, one of the questions that's pretty much asked all the time is how can I move my Ucm to the Ucm Cloud, the existing infrastructure or existing install base that we have, how do we move it to the cloud? So most of the customers are really thinking about different options to move to the cloud. They talk about that we've got a huge install base, and so one of the struggle obviously we're having is how can I move to the Ucm Cloud? So there are obviously a couple of options. Cisco's really put together a solution for both multiple options that I will talk about. Primarily, I'm going to just cover the Cisco's hosted solution, which is called Ucm Cloud, and then later on we'll talk about the Webex Calling option. So what really is Ucm Cloud? Ucm Cloud is a software as a service, SaaS cloud calling solution hosted by Cisco in Cisco Webex data centers around the globe. Basically, every customer gets its own private instance. The solution is partner delivered and managed. It is highly customizable and scalable. Ucm Cloud is ideal migration path for existing on-premises Ucm customers. The solution is generally intended for large enterprise customers with 1,000 plus users. So the Ucm Cloud solution that we're talking about is really based on the Cisco CUCM version 12.5 that includes the applications like CUCM, which is Call Manager, Unity Connection, IMN Presence, Emergency Responder, and Expressways. It basically gives customers the same look and feel of their Ucm admin interface and familiar user experience with Jabber and the Webex Teams client. It is also integrated with the Webex Teams for calling and collaboration. You get all the benefits of team messaging, and Ucm Cloud basically is obviously, it's available through, as I mentioned, about the Webex data centers across North America, EMEA, and Asia Pac. So what are some of the benefits of Ucm Cloud? Sean alluded to this earlier in the presentation. Basically, looking at these four main components here: no disruption, security, customization, and extended ROI. When we talk about migration, it's always challenging. But with the Ucm Cloud option, because it is a private dedicated instance in Cisco Cloud, there is really no disruption from either administrator or the end user perspective. Same CUCM user experience, the same features are supported across, the platform. So when you start up on-prem, and you really want to transition through the cloud, there will be a transition period where you would have a presence in the cloud as well as on-prem, and then you will be able to connect both systems together For instance, if the dial plan is 4-digit extension, you're able to dial 4-digit across both systems. From a security perspective, it's a dedicated instance, as I talked about. There is system survivability available. System is fully redundant. The emergency responder application is there, and it's fully secure because it's a dedicated instance. From a customization perspective, it supports open API platforms. All the integrations that we have today, they will be supported on the cloud as well. And they've also, from a ROI perspective, all the existing hardware, whether it's the phone, the gateways, basically there's no upfront cost to migrate to the cloud from that perspective because you get to keep all the existing hardware. So these are some of the benefits on the Ucm Cloud side. Cisco Ucm Cloud provides all the traditional Cisco services like voice, video, mobility, IM presence, Webex Teams, Webex meetings. So you get all the benefits of Webex Teams client natively registered to the Ucm Cloud. It gives the same experiences, combined with the calling experience. From an endpoint perspective, Cisco Ucm Cloud supports the broadest set of endpoints. All the new endpoints that we have, the 7800 series or 8800 series, all the existing phones, they are supported, including all the video endpoints that you see in the screenshot here. Also, Ucm Cloud is deployed in a redundant data centers across multiple regions, including the SRST support, all the good local gateways that we have available today in existing deployments, and SRST is fully supported in the solution. Also, all the various contact center solutions that are available from within Cisco, they can be integrated into the Ucm Cloud solution and allowing ultimate flexibility when migrating to the cloud. From a PSTN perspective, Ucm Cloud supports all the PSTN connection options that are available in a traditional on-prem deployments with the addition of cloud-connected PSTN, which is coming end of this year. So there is the bundled PSTN option, local gateway, bring your own PSTN or SIP trunk, and basically all of these existing options that I just talked about are available with this solution. Ucm Cloud is a private cloud which establishes a private connection from customer network via Equinix as a meet-me location to the Ucm Cloud. This is a critical piece here because one of the questions that's been asked is how do we really connect on-prem infrastructure, or how do we connect the enterprise to the cloud? This is where Equinix comes in. Next slide, I'll talk about a little bit more on the Equinix side. So it's a private connection to the Ucm Cloud. It provides security and reliability, consistent network performance with faster speed and lower latency, delivering a more consistent and enhanced collaboration experience. Because it's a private dedicated circuit, it's a secure, and let's just talk about some of the different connectivity options. There is really two types of connectivity options: is partner connected and the customer connected, or it's also called the direct connect. With partner connected option, partner as SMP aggregates and connects the customer's WAN to the Ucm Cloud in geographic regions where the offer is available. And then the direct connect or the customer connect option provides direct connectivity from customer network to the Ucm Cloud. So, the partner connected is really that we have, as SMP, would have a physical presence in Equinix data centers, and all the customers will connect to the Ucm Cloud to us. With the direct connect option is the customer basically will directly connect it to the Ucm Cloud. There's multiple options that we'll talk about in next few slides. Equinix Cloud Exchange is an advanced interconnection solution. So when it comes to talking about what Equinix is really a connection to different public cloud offerings or SaaS offerings, and you can see in there there's AWS, IBM Cloud, Oracle, Salesforce. So if you are already connected to any of those services and you have a relationship with Equinix, or the service provider that you work with has connection to Equinix Exchange or access to the Equinix Exchange, it becomes much easier because all we are doing is just adding connection to the Webex Cloud from a UCM perspective, because all of the connections will already be there from whether it's a peering connection that we're talking about here. So we do have a partnership with Equinix, and do let us know if there is an opportunity where you already either talking, your service providers basically has connection to Equinix, or there are any services that you're already leveraging, the ones that are listed in here through Equinix, then it's just an easy conversation. So we can help you with that, and we can bring Equinix, and we can discuss more about different connectivity options from Equinix perspective. Now, let's just quickly go over the direct connection option. This is where if we partner, or actually this really direct connection that I talked about is specifically if the customer were to connect directly to the UCM Cloud. There are really 4 options that I'm going to just take a couple minutes to go through. So one of primarily the Webex Edge, then we have Virtual Connect, the Fiber Connect, and then the MPLS Connect. So with the Webex Edge, customers connect their WAN directly to the Cisco Webex backbone via the Equinix Cloud Exchange, and then with the Virtual Connect, customers can extend their SD-WAN network directly to UCM Cloud. And right now, only supported option is the SD-WAN. Viptela Meraki is on the roadmap. And then with the Fiber Connect, it's a secure WAN connection via point-to-point fiber circuit directly to the Cisco UCM Cloud. And a customer is responsible for procuring the fiber circuit, and their service provider will connect to the UCM Cloud. With the MPLS connection, it is a secure WAN connection again, but via the MPLS provider directly to the UCM Cloud. A customer's MPLS provider will connect to the UCM Cloud. So last 2 options obviously are a little expensive, but if you already have an MPLS provider that really has presence, as I talked about earlier, it's much easier. One quick note on the direct connect option is that direct connect requires connecting to the customer WAN. There's no need for individual connections per site. Basically, all the direct connect options include the internet or MRA or OTP user access as well. One of the solutions that is in there is the expressways. So expressways do need internet access. UCM Cloud is globally available, as we talked about earlier. America, EMEA, and Asia Pac, and every data center is engineered, controlled, and managed by Cisco to ensure the highest level of quality of service. And just a quick reminder that the signaling is done in the cloud, but the media is point-to-point and optimized for secure on-net media traversal. And at the end, we will go through some of the call flows that shows the media path. UCM Cloud allows for the third-party integrations on-prem customers, that they are really leveraging today, for instance, the call recording or the billing solutions that have for CDR or any kind of integrations for CRM or attendant consoles. All of these integrations that exist today, they are available through the UCM Cloud. From a maintenance and upgrade perspective, because it's a dedicated instance in the cloud, Cisco is responsible for all the upgrades, maintenance and upgrades for all the applications, whether it's that we talked about TUCM, Unity Connection, IAM Presence, all of the applications that will be hosted in Cisco data centers, Cisco will be responsible for providing the upgrade. Today, as I mentioned earlier, that the supported version is called .5, But let's say when we Cisco update the version to 14, we still have the option to basically maintain one level lower level. So it's like n-1. So if we Cisco decides to go to version 14, we can still maintain 12.5. When they go to 15, then we'll have to update to version 14. So the process basically is that Cisco will inform the partners for release availability and plan upgrades, including upgrade requirements as part of the business review program. The partner schedules an upgrade window, which is convenient for the customer. And then at the successful conclusion of the upgrade, Cisco will notify the partner. Because one important note on that regard is that for maintenance for shared infrastructure during the updates, core services, for example, ability to make and receive phone calls, it is not impacted during the maintenance window because there's enough high availability built into this solution that it should not really have any impact on the making and receiving phone calls. So I'm gonna just take a few minutes to go through some of the signaling and media path on this here. For instance, looking at a signaling and media from a single site, the call scenario in this one is that 1,000 in extension 1,000 dialed 1,002. In this case, a signaling traverses Ucm Cloud and the media is local. So this is just a site one calling basically each other, and then as you can see, the red dotted line just goes across the Ucm Cloud and then comes back. So that's the signaling and the media, just the dark green line that you see there between the two endpoints. If there are two sites calling each other, in this case, if extension 1001 calls extension 2001, signaling versus Cisco Ucm Cloud again, and then media basically remains in the customer WAN. This is the case where the site is connected to the customer WAN. There are two sites, and as you can see that the media again will stay within two sites through the WAN. So it's an inter-site call scenario. With the central PSTN, if PSTN were to be hosted on a Aconex cloud, in this case, if the extension 1001 calls the 800 number, the signaling will traverse the Ucm Cloud, and then the media flow through the partner aggregation. In that case, the media will basically go through the centralized PSTN. So looking at the local PSTN option, in this case, if extension 1001 dials an 800 number, again, signaling will still go through the Ucm Cloud, and the media in this case will be local because there is a local gateway there. And with the MRA solution without ICE, where we have site one and then there is a remote device logged in over MRA. In that case, if an extension 1001 dials extension 1002, the signaling traverses Cisco Ucm Cloud and partner aggregation to the internet. And then in that case, both devices with extension 1002 will ring simultaneously. And the remote device answer calls. If the remote device answers the calls, you will see that the media flows through the partner aggregation. Signaling again goes through the Ucm Cloud, where the media will just go through the partner aggregation. So with that, I'm going to just turn it over to Dan to talk about the Webex Calling.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to share out right now. All right. All right, so here we're talking about Webex Calling and all the updates that have happened since we've last talked. If this is not new to you, I'll definitely give you an introduction. If not, I'm going to give you some updates that have happened in the past few months, as well as an outlook and a quick demo as well. All right, so first off, what is Webex Calling? Webex Calling is Cisco's cloud-based PBX, and it operates over the top, which means that effectively all dial tone and signal go across the internet. So there's nothing on the solution at this point that is traversing MPLS, etc., unless your network is set up to be, that way. When we actually go to look at your overall architecture, it's something that we should definitely talk about. How are your sites set up? How are they interconnected? Where are your internet trunks? Where are your users? And there's tests that we can run, and it will allow us to tell how many concurrent calls we can support, etc. But the key is that Webex Calling is different than UCM Cloud in this respect, that all dial tone and signal will go across the internet. It's exclusively managed through Webex Control Hub, which I'll show you today. And it is a Cisco Spark Call replacement. So if you're familiar with the old Spark Call solution, that solution is now being phased out in lieu of Webex Calling. If you have Spark Call today and you would like to get off of it, please let us know. There's a process, and we can definitely help get you there. So what Webex Calling isn't, first off, is Webex Meetings, an event center, training center, support center. The meeting software that is Webex is what most people think of when we say Webex. It makes sense. It's been out for more than a decade at this point. We're on using Webex Event Center today, and this is what most people think of. But Webex Calling is not Webex Meetings, Training Center, Event Center, Support Center, but it does run on top of the technology that allows this software to be globally available and with a high-speed backplane across the world. It is not Call Manager's replacement. Call Manager is not legacy. It is not end of life. And yes, I said Call Manager, so Tarek's probably laughing at me right now. Cisco Unified Communications Manager, we should call it, is not legacy or end of life, right? So you see the next chapter, that is UCM Cloud. However, the premise offering is not being discontinued because of UCM Cloud. That's just another thing available. So when we talk about Cisco Cloud or Cisco Cloud Calling, there is the UCM Cloud, which is the 1,000+ customer that Tarek talked about, and Webex Calling, which can be sold as low as 1 user, and it really does not have a ceiling. But 1 to 1,000 is where the sweet spot is. It's not a contact center. There is a Webex contact center offer, but Webex Calling does offer some call queues and some good call routing based on that, but it's not a formal contact center, but we do have a solution for that. And it's not just another rebrand of Spark Call. Fortunately, Cisco rebranded Spark Call as Webex Calling at one point in time. So if you've heard Webex Calling before, just make sure you're understanding which Webex Calling we're talking about, unfortunately. So this is the Webex Calling that has a lot of the BroadSoft technology that Cisco acquired infused inside of it. And then it's been turned into a Cisco product over time. A lot of Cisco stuff has been added since we've last talked as well. And lastly, it is not delivery of PSTN by Cisco. So Cisco is not a carrier. So what features are available? There are site-specific features like auto attendance, call queues, etc. And some of these features also can spread across an enterprise as well. The user can get pretty much anything that we'd like. So we can have one device, multiple devices. They can use a phone as their primary. They get voicemail. There's hoteling or extension mobility, which allows users to be able to dial into multiple phones. And they get their own portal as well, so they can manage a lot of their own stuff. And then there's also third parties like Red Sky and Double Call Recording. So I'm going to take a moment to talk about Red Sky. And the reason why is there's been some legislation called Kerry's Law and Raybaum's Act, which directly impact everybody in the country. Because Kerry's Law is an FCC regulation. It's enforced, there's fines, and this is true regardless of what platform we're talking about. So if we're talking about UCM, Webex Calling, UCM Cloud, if you haven't asked internally, you should definitely ask the recommendations to talk to your attorney to see what your rules and regulations are, but SMP can also help you out as well. So Red Sky is a software that will sit on top of Webex Calling. It is an additional purchase, so I just wanted to make that mention, but they're a solution partner. So what it does is allows your multi-platform phone or soft client to be able to register to Webex Calling, but also do some real-time updates on your addresses. So with the Carries Law legislation, the requirement, there's two points of legislation there. First, a user needs to be able to dial 911 without any prefix, meaning if you have a steering digit, an external dial digit, whether it's 9, 8, etc., the user must be able to dial 911 and nothing else to be able to dial the PSAP, the Public Safety Answering Point. That's important. That's one part. The other part is notification. So the notification can come in a lot of different ways, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth if you'd like to have a follow-up session about this. But Red Sky really takes it to a whole nother level, and I want to go through a couple things with you real quick. So first, if you're curious on compliance dates, the first compliance date, MLTS, is a multi-line telephone system. We're past due at this point, so if you haven't looked into this, please pull us into the equation. Let's take a look at it, see what you need to be compliant on. And then there's two more dates. The January 6th, actually one more. Yeah, two more dates, sorry. January 6th, 2021 and January 6th, 2022, depending on where you sit. Now, Webex Calling, the way this works is your phone or your soft phone will trigger an event, and which could be your device powers up, it reboots, an IP address changes, or the token expires. And then it's going to reach out to the Red Sky Cloud, and it's going to report back with IP address and a whole bunch of information. And then what it will do is it'll say, here's your address. The user can further define this as well. And then what will also happen to give you the satisfaction of the Carries Law situation is there's a notification. This is built right into the subscription of Red Sky when we look at this. So I just wanted to make this known. And this, again, this legislation of Carries Law and Raybaum's Act is something that impacts everybody who has a phone system, whether you have one phone on it or 100,000 phones. You are under FCC regulation at this point for Carries Law, and then Raybaum's Act requires a dispatchable location. So this will actually check both boxes right here. So you get the dispatch information. So if you'd like to know more about that, please let me know. And this is the key, that this is now available for Webex Calling. It was a future item, but I just wanted to go over that real quick. So as far as how you would actually get PSTN to the Webex Cloud, you can bring your own PSTN connection. So if you have your own POTS lines or PRI or SIP trunks, no problem. You don't have to forklift all of that. We can use that. So the ISR 1100, 4300, and 4400 series routers can take that. Those are physical gateways that would be installed on your site where you're terminating your trunk. If you have a SIP trunk only, you also have the option of a virtual router, which is called the CSRV. And then if you'd like to look at cloud connected PSTN, which is a very good recommendation, this list is growing. There's an Interoperability, NTT, OneStream, and there's actually another one that just got introduced this week as well. And if you want to look at the cloud connected PSTN, or you'd like us to review your phone bills, we could take a look and see which one makes the most sense and how much money we can save you. More often than not, there's money to be saved. The other thing that's a benefit too is we peer right to the Webex Cloud. So you see right here, you can have multiple PSTN providers. And then in that scenario, you don't have to worry about any failure at your site. You know, if the power fails, no problem. Obviously, you have to make sure you can power the phones and stuff like that. But my point is to the gateway, especially as people are being spread across, you know, swing shifts, whether they're working at home, working in the office, or a combination of both, your PSTN is directed at the cloud at that point. So as far as clients and devices, there is the 6800, 7800, and 8800 series, ranging from low-end basic phones all the way up to the Cisco flagship phones with video. These phones are the same ones that you'd have on premise, except for the 6800s. The 68s only go to the cloud. And if you have these phones today, a 7800 or 8800 series, 99% of them can migrate over to the Webex Cloud, no problem. So all we need to do is get some serial numbers and make sure that there's no caveats, but most of them will be able to migrate over, no problem. So when we look at the actual full device list, we also have analog devices, so the ATAs can handle from 2 to 288 ports of analog connections. And then there's the room systems for our video. And our soft client is Webex Teams. So here's what it looks like when you look at all the video endpoints, you know, from personal desktop endpoint all the way up to an immersive system like the Webex Room Panorama. There is a hardware device for you. And the other thing that you should make note of is the 700 series, 500 series headsets that Cisco offers. These can be managed right through Webex Control Hub if you're on a Webex Calling solution. If you are using Ucm Cloud or you're using UCM in general, as long as you have the right version running, and in Ucm Cloud you always have the right version running, you can manage these in bulk and deploy them by the thousands. So this is one differentiation in Cisco Power the Platform play. You got your headsets all the way to your video endpoints, one vendor. And the other thing is that these show up in the call logs too. So you want to talk about making your troubleshooting life easier, have everything in one call log and make your life a lot easier. The Webex Teams app is changing. It's called the Unified app. Its future name may change. But the reality of it is, in Webex Control Hub, we're going to be able to configure and have this application set up to have any persona that we want. And we're going to be able to define that on a user-by-user perspective. So if a user only needs calling and not messaging, we can do that. Or if they need everything, we can do that as well. So this is how it looks in the future. Cisco has done all these updates for the first half of 2020, and now they're chipping away at the new things. So what's going to end up happening is there's two management portals today, and by the end of this year there will be one. That's the reality of it, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. But once we get into a single management portfolio, the APIs, bulk administration stuff will be unrivaled. So what else is coming? There's call park enhancements, there's virtual extensions, location ID for emergency calling, a ton of bulk and API work. And if you're under an NDA and we get Cisco in the room, we can talk about what's beyond this. There's some really powerful stuff coming to this platform. All right. So let me give you a quick overview and demo of Webex Control Hub and Webex Teams. So first, I'll show you Webex Teams. This is Webex Teams, or the Unified app, whatever you want to call it. It's actually the same thing. On the left side, I have all my different capabilities for one-on-one communications, my team communications. There's a contact list here, and a phone, voicemail, and calendar. So you get everything in one place to go. The one thing that I wanted to show you is this is Webex Calling. In here, I can actually set my call preferences, and this is truly in production. And I'm in Buffalo, so I memorize Buffalo numbers. So hang on, 4444. Just want to show you what this looks like. Is that right? One more 4. So just to show you that this is not fake. You know, this is actually dialing out at this point. And once it connects, you can see we have hold, transfer, we can add somebody else in. I just wanted to show you that's right here. So this is a real thing. And if you've never seen that before, you should also know, as Tarek said, this can register right to UCM as well. So this is the recommended call control client of choice. Now, as far as Webex Control Hub is concerned, this is the management portal. This is the landing page. Just wanted to show you a few things. This is an example of users, and this is a demo environment. So if you see anything that's broken, I have intentionally broke a few things just because I wanted to show you what it actually looks like in every state. So I promise it is intentional. But if we look at a user right now, like Amy Pond, and I chose a Doctor Who theme in case you didn't notice. We have Webex messaging, so Webex Teams messaging, Webex meetings, and calling. So it's important for you to know if you have WebEx meetings today, the same way that you'd manage the WebEx meetings is the same way you'd manage WebEx calling. But effectively, you get this new option right here. So if we're going to actually change something for Amy, we just click right underneath her license, and then we can sit there and see directory numbers that we have assigned, voicemail, and everything else. Now, as we talked about the migration from the old portal to the new portal, everything is basically being pooled under the advanced call control settings. So we start to get the capabilities to do hotel, line monitoring, privacy. So a couple things that people always ask me for is, can I monitor somebody else's line? The answer is yes, you can. And then if I have a CEO or whomever that doesn't want to be dialed by an auto attendant or dialed in general, we can actually set that right here. So there's a lot of stuff coming. And the key is that whether you buy just WebEx calling or you buy WebEx calling, WebEx meetings, or there's a combination of everything, WebEx Control Hub is really going to be the place that you're going to go to manage all this stuff. So you have users, you have general locations, and then you have the ability to actually manage your devices. And you can see a couple things. My headset is actually connected to a different phone right now, so that's why it's offline. The 6821 is also offline because it's not powered on. But I just wanted to show you right here, we have Dave Pope, who's one of our trainers. There's 2 phones assigned to him, right? So that's a complete possibility for that as well. We have a decked wireless phone, great phone, by the way. And then you have some video phones. So you're just seeing an example of pretty much everything out there. But the thing that I just wanted to make everybody aware of is that every feature in the Webex Cloud can be configured within one interface. And the ones that are in a secondary interface, like I said, the Webex Calling admin portal, you can see it right here. I could cross-launch it. That is on its way out. And the nice thing is that Cisco gives you 30 days where the feature lives in both locations. It allows a simple migration. It tells you exactly where to go. It lets everything coexist for a while, and then it shuts it down. And everything, by the way, has release notes, documentation, warnings, etc. But we're going to have one place to go to manage the entire platform, which is fantastic. So you can manage your hybrid services like your calendars, your video endpoints, your IP phones, your headsets, everything from one pane of glass. All right, so let me, I have a few more slides here I just want to go through real quick. So as far as where this is available, WebEx Calling is available everywhere in the world. Very, very few places that, it can't go. And I'm sure you know where they are. They're always the sensitive countries. So nothing new there at this point. But the ones who had restrictions, they're subtly being chipped away at. The whole COVID scenario has opened a lot of people's eyes, even people who did not allow certain things to happen in other countries are now slowly starting to turn around and change. So if you have a location that you'd like to know whether or not WebEx Calling is available and supported under, please just reach out. More often than not, it will be available. It is a globally available solution. And this is the WebEx backbone that we talked about before. And there's also some calling optimization of routing calls across that too. So some really cool stuff that we can talk about. So it is available all around the world. And the other thing is it can be customized based on language, whether we're talking the call in language for an auto attendant or options that are presented to a user when they're calling in on a phone, or the actual UI for a user or an admin. It can be all changed based on location. So we're talking about a full platform, WebEx Calling, Teams, and Meetings, but all of these are available on their own as well. So if you have another chat solution and you're not willing to change off of it because it meets all your expectations, you can keep that and we can integrate to it. There's some really good stuff on there, but if you really want to see an all-in-one integrated solution, that is what I'd recommend. And then the overall vision is adding the WebEx calling technology is a layer that is, within WebEx the Webex Cloud, and I know it's showing a little bit strangely, but the key is that whether you have a call manager on premise, a UCM Cloud, Webex Calling, or a third-party PBX like an Avaya, NEC, Nortel, you name it, we're going to be able to interface Webex Calling to those phone systems and be able to allow you to migrate over time to the cloud when you want, or be able to offer some really great things like call queues in the cloud, and then deliver them to your agents when they're available. So how can you actually purchase Webex Calling? Well, first, before you purchase, we can offer a trial, and Sean will talk about that toward the end. Then if you're a Cisco customer and you're not on a Flex agreement, the key would be to get you to a Flex agreement. If you have a Flex agreement, congratulations. All you'd have to do is modify that Flex agreement and add in some licensing for Webex Calling. We can do it on a small scale, user by user, department by department, or we could do a flash cut, whatever makes the most sense. One differentiation for this platform for Webex Calling is, first off, this license model, right? So you can go and you can buy Flex for your UCM that you have on site right now, and you want to migrate some users to the cloud, whether it's UCM or Webex Calling or both, you can do that too. You can. And Webex Calling, using that local gateway that we talked about before, can integrate to your call manager. We can do 4-digit dial between the cloud and on-prem, and we can migrate users at your time when it makes sense for you. Not just trying to force feed it. Some of the competition out there will say, no problem. We can integrate to your call manager, but when you read between the lines and you actually do some digging, the way they're integrating is actually by doing dialing across the PSTN. And this integration, I'm talking about keeping it all local, right? So the Flex agreement will allow you to consume callings and meetings and contact center as well. It's just a different Flex. And we can mix and match users in cloud on-prem. We can move you at your leisure, right? When it makes sense for your business. And then there's also, if you don't have a Flex agreement and you're looking for the full suite, the Cisco Webex meetings as well as calling, there is what's called the Webex Work Bundle. This is available to people who do not have a Flex agreement right now, because if you have a Flex agreement right now, you're under some unique terms that you want to take advantage of. But if you are not under a Flex agreement, this will allow Webex Calling, Teams, and Meetings all in one offer. And it allows you to flex and burst users up as required. Again, it's a cloud-only offer. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Tarek, who's going to talk about, you're talking about contact center next, Tarek, right?
Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Is everybody okay? So,
yep, it's great.
Wonderful. Great. So we're going to be, now I'm going to talk about the Webex Contact Center. This is a solution, cloud-based solution from Cisco. So looking at let's take a look at the Cisco Contact Center portfolio. On the left side on the slide on the screen, there's a green box shows on-prem contact center. The UCCX, traditionally UCCX, UCC. The UCCX basically is a small to medium-sized contact center solution designed to handle up to 400 agents. The UCC is a large contact center, more complex deployments capable of handling up to 24,000 agents. And on the right side, you see the HCS, that's the partner-hosted solution, allowing the ability to also scale up to 24,000 agents. Now, in the middle two boxes that you see on the slide, it's a Cisco-hosted contact center solution called Webex Contact Center and a Webex Contact Center Enterprise. The Webex Contact Center supports up to 1,000 agents, whereas the Webex Contact Center Enterprise, which is a new offering, it goes up to 24,000 agents. Both solutions take advantage of the Webex single global platform, in addition to the advanced, speech recognition, experience management, and analyzer. And we will talk about, a couple of these solutions, especially the experience management and analyzer in next few slides as well. Let's just look at really what exactly is the Webex Contact Center. Cisco Webex Contact Center is a native cloud contact center solution for small to mid-sized businesses or enterprises. It is easy to deploy and manage with integrated calling, collaboration, enterprise-grade security. Some of the features that are listed here, I'm going to be covering those in the next few slides. One of the key features that is that it's agent agnostic. From an agent perspective, agent is basically does not require a VPN. It's all hosted in Cisco data centers. The agent will basically log into the agent desktop over the internet using a web browser, and they can log in. And when they log in with their username and password that's configured in the system, they will put in their phone number. The phone number can be their home phone, their cell phone, or any phone. So from that perspective, it does not tie back to the enterprise, does not require any VPN, and the agent can log in with any phone. So I'll talk about some of the features later. So from a licensing perspective, the Cisco Webex Contact Center offers standard and premium agent model via the Contact Center Flex subscription plan. A standard agent license provides all of the features that you see on the slide. And the premium agent option includes all of the standard agent features plus the advanced supervisor capabilities and the omni-channels that we will talk in next few slides. All there basically, and there are some additional add-on features like speech-enabled IVR and also as in WFM workforce management stuff. Those are basically also outbound campaigns as well. Those are add-ons as part of from a licensing perspective. So let's just talk about some of the features. One of the top one is the omni-channel. Omni-channel provides voice, email, and chat communications in a unified environment. These interactions deliver a seamless customer experience to agents, managers, and administrators. Agents manage all channels from within the agent desktop. So the email piece or the chat piece is configured within the system itself. Also, you can mix and match agents with the combination of voice, email, and chat queues based on the agent skill sets and capabilities that can handle multiple channels at a time. So there is a centralized universal queue provides one routing strategy for all channels and allow you to target most important interactions. Basically, first instead of the next up. From a customer history, when an agent logs in to the desktop, they are able to see all the interactions within the desktop itself. So the agent can really see all the interactions. Let's say now that the agent just received a chat session, when they log in, chat interaction started. So they will be able to, within the desktop, see all the previous chat history in there as well. The universal queue really allows routing of different types of interactions to meet SLAs, and it creates a universal routing strategy. That's basically a term that's really used in the Webex Contact Center. It basically means that how the call or the chat interaction or email or the voice channel is routed to the proper agent. The self-service IVR. So there are few of the capabilities that I'm going to just briefly talk about. The system comes with the self-service capabilities in terms of the IVR capabilities. When both with both touch-tone and speech-enabled options for self-service IVR, it's available. Traditionally in the contact center, the IVR is just a touch-tone, but now there's a speech-enabled IVR available as well. There's a callback, built-in callback feature. And again, on the Contact Center Express side today, this is an add-on or this is a configuration piece that needs to be done either within the contact center or to a third party. But the callback feature is a built-in capability that is available within the contact center, the Webex Contact Center. So there's a multilingual option available for text to speech and speech recognition. There's voice and chat box. They can really reduce the agent workload while bot can handle less complex requests. Nowadays, this is a pretty common that we've seen, where if there are repetitive queries come into the contact center, where agents are just going and answering the same question again and again, some of those interactions can be upfront handled by voice and chat box. And then obviously there will be a live person available at the end to handle any interactions which do read human interaction and touch. So from a skill-based routing perspective, the customers are matched to the agent with the best skills to improve first contact resolution, customer satisfaction, and the Net Promoter Score. The predictive analytics-based routing, customers and agent matching use big data analytics to understand their customer's journey to date. So some of the routing, there's advanced routing capabilities available within the Webex Contact Center. Some of the key features available within the agent desktop are unified agent user experience, the native agent workflow, call handling, screen pop, call control, click to dial. All of these options are available within the agent desktop. There's a built-in chat. This means the agent don't ever have to leave their desktop experience to send a message back and forth to other, to get SME or to the customer. There's embedded voice and chat collaboration capabilities available within the agent desktop. Webex Contact Center WFO Suite. This is an optional feature where it does include the quality management, the workforce management, and then the WFO analytics. This again is some of the customers, if they're looking for any enhancements from a quality management perspective or workforce management perspective, these are all available within the Webex Contact Center. Webex Contact Center really supports the open architecture that allows custom integrations via open API. The Webex Contact Center integrates easily with a variety of business applications, including the IVR, the CRM, and the WFM we talked about before. So speech-enabled IVR, workforce optimization, built-in out-of-the-box business app connectors, they are available. For instance, Microsoft Dynamics, Zendesk, Salesforce, those connectors are available out of the box within the solution. The Webex Contact Center is deployed as geographically diverse data centers in pairs, basically in all three regions, US, EMEA, and Asia Pac. So there's the built-in redundancy available within those data centers. And at the end, I'll talk about one use case in those. Dan talked about the control hub, the same scenario here. Cisco Webex Control Hub offers a single pane of glass for all of the Cisco Webex, Webex services, including the Webex Contact Center. The user is really provisioned in the control hub, where once the user is provisioned with that single sign-on, single directory for user authentication, and all the configuration eventually will come into the control hub as well for the contact center. Right now, they are basically operating in two portals. One is specifically for the Webex contact center configuration, but initially, the user provisioning is still done in the control hub. The reporting and dashboard. So one of the very powerful tools that the Webex Contact Center offers is the analyzer. The analyzer provides a real-time operational dashboard and reports. The graphs and the live visualizations allow you to really understand what's happening within the call center. And you are able to drill down and identify any problems. Maybe I've got an agent who's been on a call, let's say, for 15 minutes, but the average handle time is usually 2 minutes. So as a supervisor, I want to have a supervisor maybe go in and maybe monitor that call and be able to understand what's happening with that call. Is the agent struggling? Is there something going on that requires additional resources or intervention? So this tool also allows you to build custom reports, and you can slice and dice the data in multiple different areas. So it can ingest data not only from voice, but also other omnichannels, as well as external sources where you can really produce really good reports with gives you in-depth analysis of the entire customer journey. So how AI improves the customer experience? Really, I briefly mentioned about that, making agents, smarter. We are augmenting them and not really replacing them. So the idea is not to replace the agents, but just take some of the repetitive tasks that I talked about and basically leverage AI or the chat bots or the voice bots to be able to handle those interactions ahead, so that agents can really able to answer calls that are basically specific to user requirements. So empower agents with real-time assistance to improve first contact resolution. Leverage AI-enabled capabilities. The solution really leverages AI capabilities to enhance the customer self-service experience. So some of the options available, we talked about that before: chat and voice bots, virtual customer assistant bot. Really, idea again is to enhance the customer self-service experience. So also, I want to talk about one of the new enhancements or new features that basically Cisco is introducing in the Webex Contact Center, and this feature is also coming up on the on-prem contact center as well. It's called the Webex Experience Management. Webex Experience Management is formerly known as Cloud Cherry. This is basically Cisco bought that solution from Cloud Cherry. It's Cisco's next-gen customer experience management solution that improves customer and agent experiences by giving businesses great insight across the entire user journey. How do they do that? They really basically by mapping their experiences across all touch points in the organization before, during, and after the contact center interaction, and using the predictive analytics to make informed decisions on how to improve customer and employee experiences that will really create that positive business outcome. So in this slide, that there's a picture of a typical customer journey with 5 different components, starting all the way from awareness of a particular product or a solution, maybe customer browsing on a website and considering through actually purchasing a product or having service on that product and maybe expand and grow that in the future. So there are different 5 components. Just looking at this, if we look at from that perspective, really customer is not aware what's happening outside the contact center. The contact center typically touches only a very small part of the entire customer journey. And that means that the typical agent who's talking to a customer is not very well aware of what's actually going on in that and on the other part of the service, or what our customers are experiencing. So with the Webex Experience Management, it provides a huge opportunity to see the entire journey. If we can collect data on what happened earlier on, what our customers are experiencing, we can actually use that to make the experience for the customer a little better, more efficient, with less effort, and make the experience more pleasant, which of course lead to a better outcome for the business. That basically is really the central theme around the experience management solution. One of the key elements that Webex Experience Management uses to collect that data is surveys. With the experience management integrated with the Webex Contact Center, administrators can configure IVR, SMS, or email post-call surveys to collect the feedback directly from customers. You can configure the IVR survey when an inline survey has to be played to the customer at the end of a call. Configure the SMS email surveys when a survey link has to be sent to the customer, allowing them to provide feedback after a call at their convenience. So administrators can configure and add gadgets that can be viewed on the on the desktop, agent desktop. The gadgets can display customer experience journey of the customer calling in, or aggregated feedback data about agents or the supervisor. One of the use cases that is the abandoned calls. Sometimes it's hard to determine based on the existing reports, but with this analytics, the customer experience management, you can really run some of the reports leveraging both the analytics that the analyzer that we have within the Webex Contact Center, or the experience management with the surveys available. If we want to determine abandoned calls, there are reports available that you can run, whether to determine whether the abandoned call happened when the customer called and disconnected, or whether the call was sitting in a queue. The customer was waiting for a longer period of time, and the call we just hung up the call. So we can really look at the entire journey through both of these capabilities to identify where the gap is. So agents and supervisors can view the pulse of the customers using the industry standard metrics, such as Net Promoter Score, NPS, the Csat, the customer Csat matrix, and the CES score. So there are different KPIs available within the solution. So at the end, I want to just really talk about one of the case studies where this Webex contact center deployment, basically, as an example here, Office Depot basically have 3,000 agents in 34 sites across 4 countries, and they have over 20 million contacts per year. So few of the challenges that they had, manage contact center performance across sites globally, dealing with multiple outsourced partners, and correcting inconsistent performance reporting across all the sites, delivering a competitive differentiation through better customer service. So those were the challenges that they had, and when they deployed the Cisco Webex Contact Center, the results really improved dramatically. So, they moved from on-prem contact center to the Webex Contact Center. They really created a global command center to monitor operations and manage performance in real time. They also included the omni-channel experience to improve customer interactions. And their average speed of answer from 40 seconds dropped to 10 seconds. And the abandoned call rate, from 4% was dropped from 4% to 1%. So these basically, I just wanted to, at the end, talk about one real example that it is a solution that Cisco has put a lot of basically work on it, and it is live support, fully supported solution, and a lot of customers are looking to move to cloud, and it's a great option to look into this, and we can definitely help with this, some of the trials that Sean is going to be talking about next. So with that, Sean, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you, Tarek. Just going to present my screen here. When you can see it okay on the far end. Should be good, right?
Yep.
Okay. So in closing, we know that was a lot of information in a short amount of time. This discussion continuously builds each time that we host this event because it's ever evolving and completely agile from Cisco's perspective, with demand continuing to increase to move collaboration services to the cloud. This quote from Gartner really says it all. We didn't talk about this in the beginning. We didn't talk about operational overhead. We talked about complexity and specialists, right? Being required to take care of premise-based solutions. But 90% of IT leaders will not purchase new on-premise UC infrastructure by 2021. So for folks who have aging legacy PBXs, legacy VoIP solutions, a Cisco UC solution that hasn't been upgraded in a long time and is out of compliance, or you're running on infrastructure that needs to be refreshed, or you're looking to get out of the data center business and don't have an idea where to put these workloads, these would all be compelling events to start looking at a cloud solution. You couple that with what Cisco is doing from a subscription perspective and a licensing entitlement perspective, they're making it really, really easy for clients to consider this. All right, but this is a great fact, and I think at the end of the day, it's correct. This is what IT leaders and organizations should be considering as their next step. And for those who still have hesitation behind that, let's set up a meeting and talk through it, because the concerns that used to exist are no longer there. So what are 5 business reasons to move collaboration to the cloud? To reiterate what we talked about in the beginning, SMP, when they're working with their clients, looks for 5 business benefits. And these 5 specific business reasons align very, very nicely with the 5 core business benefits that when we design and deliver a solution, we're looking to address. That being hard cost savings, true company growth or expansion, increased revenue and profits, improved security and compliancy, and improved productivity and efficiency. And that aligns very, very nicely with our technology portfolio and what we position for our clients. From a collaboration perspective, all of this has come out in today's session. We want to increase agility. We want to always stay current, securely, right? There's more advantages than security to stay current as well. You're always getting the latest and greatest, all right? You have that flexible consumption based on the type of user and their persona. Reduce total cost of ownership. Absolutely going to be the case here over time. Traditionally, services to get you there, right? But once you're there, you can be on that OpEx model, get off that capital upgrade treadmill, right? And truly take advantage of what the cloud has to offer. Increased productivity. You're going to continue to see faster innovation, greater interoperability and integrations with the cloud solutions. Certainly going to improve mobility, team collaboration, and then how well you connect everything else that it is that you use. And then additional intelligence. It's a lot easier to build cognitive and intelligent collaboration experiences when you're building it over the top of one platform, all right, one umbrella. A lot harder when folks are on different versions of things, on different infrastructure of things, only taking advantage of some of the applications and not the others. So several business reasons to move the collaboration to the cloud, right, at the end of the day, so you can focus on your core business. To summarize the platforms, all right, you've got your applications across the top. This is Cisco's go-to-market on how do they refer to their apps: calling, meetings, messaging, and contact center. Those ecosystem partners and ecosystem applications traditionally and typically sit under the calling and contact center side of the house. But there's 2 ways to do it now. There is Ucm Cloud, again, traditionally positioned for 1,000 users and up, hosted in Cisco's private data centers that give you that secure backbone that you're accustomed to, all right? Far more control, far more granularity. Those who require enterprise-grade features, all right, are traditionally going to lean towards Ucm Cloud. Those who have brownfield implementations of Communications Manager on-premise that already have a wealth of Cisco IP phones and like the way that their SRST gateways are deployed and their PSTN trunking is deployed are great candidates for Ucm Cloud. Webex Calling, wonderful product, will scale to, as Dan alluded to more than 1,000 users very well, all right? But an over-the-top solution, very, very much what today's newer players in the market are leaning forward with. The great thing with Cisco, and you'll see it on the next slide, is they have the breadth, the market share, all right, and the reach to support your organization when it comes to that. Across the bottom, you've got your devices, right? Everything from IP phones to soft clients on mobile devices, laptops, or in the conference rooms. So Cisco in the enterprise, still, and for a long time going forward, and who knows how long thereafter, they are the collaboration leader end-to-end when you go across those 4 applications on the prior page. They have 45% of the on-prem calling market share. That sets them very, very nicely up to move those clients to the cloud. Number 1 in overall collaboration market share end-to-end. 61% cloud calling market share. So that's the number that I was talking about on the last page. They got that through the acquisition of BroadSoft. All right, as Dan alluded to, not only did Cisco build the control hub over the top of that, but there's a wealth of service providers and organizations out there for years that have white labeled that platform and resold it. Right? Those are all Cisco clients now. All right. Ideally and potentially moving to the Webex Control Hub in the future. All right. So there's a number of different ways Cisco's getting their cloud calling portfolio to the market. There's also hosted collaboration solutions, which is HCS through a service provider, which is Call Manager, very similar to UCM Cloud. But as you go down this list, they have the market share here. And Cisco doesn't continue to play in a space if they're not going to be number one or number two. They've always been that way. All right. And if I were to have one thing to anybody, for folks that are considering or looking for a new option here on today's call, Cisco is going to be around for a while. So it's always something that should be considered. All right. Global presence, tens of billions of dollars in the bank, more in R&D and collaboration alone than most organizations that are doing it. All right. So just something to keep in mind there. We always want to highlight that. So from a call to action perspective, how can you get started? All right. So SMP offers a collaboration assessment and roadmap session. All right. With deliverables based on what we discuss on the pre-sale side. All right. So this can be a basic assessment to assess what you have today. This can be a very detailed assessment with deliverables on how to get you to the cloud. All right. So when you think of the extent of this roadmap that we can build for you, it's all based on how much you know today, the business requirements that you're going after, and how detailed the assessment is that we actually conduct. Proof of concepts with SMP and Cisco. So following an assessment, or even prior to an assessment, if you truly wanted to try, all right, UCM, right, on premise or in the cloud, that's something that we could work with you on with Cisco. All right, proof of concepts are traditionally designed around communications manager itself because Cisco's giving out a Webex calling trial at no cost. All right, that is the next one. There's not only a trial for Webex calling, there's also trials for Webex Contact Center. So for those who are looking to take their customer service to the next level or need to pivot quickly because the pandemic has pushed their agents and their customer service reps at home, Webex Contact Center could be a tremendous play for you there. All right. Regardless of the experience, management, and analytics, and intelligence that Tarek referred to as simply voice and omni-channel streams to stay closer to your client. We are in a virtual world now. And if your contact center did not support that type of service, right, to your clients and partners, time now is to look to take the experience to the next level. So what's included in the Webex calling trial? This is a free 90-day trial still offered by Cisco. All right. We can spin this up very quickly. We've spun it up very quickly for clients who have it in production. All right. But all the calling services that you would expect with a fully paid license are included. Cisco Webex Teams and the Webex Calling app are a part of this. All right. So you get your soft phone, you get your messaging, your file collab if you haven't played with a workstream collaboration application like that before. IP phones can be loaned out in limited quantities. It all depends on what phones you're looking for at the end of the day and how many you would need. You can get trial PSTN services, so truly DIDs and calling to and from the outside world at no cost as part of this trial. And there's no committed minimum volume or contract terms. So a really, really nice way to dip your toes into a cloud calling platform, all right, and see what it's all about. We also have the Webex Contact Center Quick Deployment. Right? This quick deployment solution bundles the highest end agent software, so all the features, along with PSTN for calling. So again, DIDs to your agents to and from the outside world for inbound and outbound. All of the robust set of omni-channel functionalities, so think web chat, email integration, and the likes. Skills-based routing and reporting capabilities for up to 1,000 concurrent agents. This is with Webex Contact Center. We can turn this on and deploy it very quickly. Short-term commitment of 90 days with flexible month-to-month options for up to 12 months. All right, so again, if you're investigating contact center solutions right now because of your system not supporting what you need to, or you just want to take customer experience to the next level, this is a great way to do that. Again, providing free PSTN access for 90 days, which is incredible. And what's great about Webex Contact Center, as we alluded to earlier, you don't need a VPN connection to the service, right? If you've had agents who have had to go home and sit at their desk, right, find a way to get a physical hard phone there, and if it's voice over IP, power that phone, or give them a router to power that phone, right? Maybe new headsets. But if they're VPNing back just to access the agent desktop in those features, the experience become muddy and very, very complex. All right, especially if virtual desktop infrastructure is in the mix. Okay. So we have an offer in terms around both the assessment and roadmap and the proof of concepts. Currently, we are offering up to 100% credit for the assessment, roadmap, or proof of concept related professional services, along with the associated deliverables that you get as part of those engagements with any new solution purchase within 6 months. Okay, great opportunity for you to have SMP come in and look at what you have and help you figure out what makes the most sense on where you need to go next. All right, and if there's any follow-on solution purchases as a part of that, you can receive up to 100% credit for that engagement. Again, that engagement varies in size. If you'd like to understand more, when Jennifer sends out the survey, please let us know a little bit about yourself, what you have, and what you're interested in, and we will be in touch.